Hey everyone. Sorry I'm late. As usual, right? How's everybody doing? What's today? Thursday? On this Thursday? Hey Arch. Hello Octavia. Hey Stephanie Michelle. Good to see you. It's been a while. Hi Hopes. Veronica. Hello. Oh, you just got off work, Octavia? That's good. It's a long day. Hey Dave. Spacebound 75. Every time I see your name, it reminds me of that Eminem song. I think it's an Eminem song. Yeah. It's a good song. So since I don't have hundreds of people waiting in my chats, we'll just give it a minute or two and then we'll get started. We won't waste any time. Or too much time, I should say. Hey, Emmylou. Temperance, good to see you. You have trouble chatting with DLive, but I can still watch. What trouble are you having, Temperance? For some reason, I get that a lot. Hey, chick, I accidentally lied about the program to kill channel. It's actually LOL field and love is the channel program to kill. I'm assuming are you talking to me, High Hopes? And if so, that's okay. I'll screenshot it and look up the correct one. No problem. Because if I don't do that, I'll forget. So needless to say, I have a lot of screenshots of stuff to look up and whatnot. Oh, you're using the browser on DLive? I'm just wondering if it's the same trouble that I had and a couple other people have had. Are you trying when you try to like send the comment in the chat? Is it telling you have to buy like lemons or anything, or share? Because if you're hitting the gray arrow to the right of the text box on DLive, that's actually not the send arrow or like the return key to send your comment. It's actually to send to share the channel, the streamer whose channel it is. Oh, I put your words backwards. Ugh, that's funny, Temperance. I forgot about that. I haven't used browser in a long time. You're using browser on your phone. Okay. Yeah, that's funny. I don't mean to laugh because I'm only laughing because it's the same thing happened to me. And I just sat there and kept commenting in the chat. It was actually kind of funny. I was like, what the heck is going on? Why am I dyslexic all of a sudden? Something with DLive. It's nothing obviously that you are doing. So you just, yeah, you can't. I wouldn't use the browser anyways for like on your phone as far as that goes, because the same thing did happen to me. Not sure why. I don't know what that's all about, but DLive still does have quite a few glitches in it. You know, stickers will disappear and people won't get notifications. Some people do. Sometimes the people you're following won't show up when they're live. I I think it's newer, obviously. I mean, it's a lot newer than YouTube, and I almost just said AOL again. I don't know why, because I never say that ever until I'm live streaming and I go, AOL? No idea where AOL comes from. You need more space on your phone? Okay, no problem. If not, I just appreciate you trying. Hey, Eula. Hello from Poland. I think your theory is different and interesting. Well, thank you. I'm glad that you have an open mind. I'm glad that, for the most part, as far as I know, the usual suspects that are in here, you guys all have an open mind, so that's good. You definitely need one to be on this channel anyways, in my opinion. Yeah, that's cool, Octavia, Poland. It's so funny because whenever someone says they're like from France, or like one of my viewers or my subs, I'm like, oh my gosh, really? You're from like France or whatever? I'm like, that's so cool. And then the last person that actually that I did that to, they're like, I guess. I think it was actually on D Live, and they were from where were they from? Finland, I think. And I was like, that's so cool. And they're like, sure, okay, whatever, I guess, whatever, lady. It's not that cool, but I don't know. It's just cool because I don't, obviously, I don't have a lot of subs, but the ones that I do have, they're mostly from the US. So, and let me know if you guys can hear me okay. I know I have a habit of moving away from my microphone, so. Hey, Forrest, good to see you. Thanks for being here. I've actually met quite a few people from Canada recently, believe it or not. Like, I was like, there's a lot of Canadians. I don't know why I thought that there wasn't a lot, but I guess, I don't know, like maybe it's just in the amount of time that I've met them in, I guess. But that's pretty cool. Okay, so we have 30 people in here, which is awesome. What's going on? April Fools? No, I'm just kidding. No April Fools today. I am a prankster. I'm a jokester, and but usually I don't tend to joke around when it comes to this case, which is unfortunate because I have to be serious with it. I know sometimes when I do these live streams a little late, I'll get a little bit loopy and kind of crazy, but for the most part, I try to stay clear of my goofiness for this case. But I'm in Arizona, Octavia. Kessinger writing Chris in prison under a false name, and the a couple months ago with the lube thing, or not the lube, but the Vaseline, same thing, and the boxer briefs or whatever. When that story came out, which in my opinion, that's exactly what it is. It's a story. From what I remember, it came from OK Magazine, and OK Magazine is not a reputable news outlet or source. They are pretty much a gossip column, and it's just crazy to me because, when that story came out, there were so many people that were like, "Oh my god, Chris had like exchanged boxer short or whatever and sold vessel, and now he can't email like whatever." But it came straight from this like celebrity, which I don't like to say that because Chris is far from a celebrity, but it is. It's essentially like it's a celebrity gossip like magazine or website. Um, and and even if it came from like a Fox News or mainstream media, Fox News or CNN or New York Times, even that I wouldn't trust because me, I don't trust anything that the mainstream media puts out. So, but I especially would not take anything from a gossip website or column as factual, and especially without asking questions or anything like that. It would definitely be I'd definitely take it with a grain of salt, like a huge, huge grain of salt. But people just believe it. It's just like anybody else in this world that, some people that they're in the checkout and they see that Elvis and Lisa Marie had a three-headed reptilian baby. There's many people out there that truly would believe that, and it's crazy, but they do. Without ever trying to vet the information. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just like fun. It's like, ooh, Elvis Presley is still alive and, had a three-headed baby, a reptilian baby. I don't know what it is, but I know that there are some people out there that truly do believe those tabloid stuff. That's a little bit obviously over the top, but still, it just amazes me. So after that whole boxer thing, and then the only reason why I'm covering this is because I'm not doing it because it's what people want to hear, because obviously that's what it is. It's in my opinion, they want to hear the gossip, the juicy gossip of what's happening with Chris in prison, right? I don't I don't care, because to me, again, it's all hearsay. It's there's no evidence to back it up. And again, let's look at the sources, okay, that this information is coming from. Hey, Mel. And I know I say this every time, but I'm really, really going to try not to get on like a tangent or whatever, or a rant, and ignore you guys, because that's the last thing I want to do. But again, I just, for the most part, just try to get through these streams in one piece. So let me get the StreamYard here. Where should I start? I guess we'll just start with this news source that put out this story. And forgive me, my computer's a little slow, so it might take a second to load. Oh, it actually loaded pretty quick there. Okay. Hey, Mary Rose. If AD has David on, I won't be watching. Well, he did. At least I think that's who it was, anyways, because that's what I might be. I haven't decided yet. It's on the itinerary, even though the itinerary, quote unquote, because I never have any, set up topics really for my live streams, or not in a long time. So, but I'm pretty sure that it was the same David. But you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so what are we looking at here? Just make this larger. I will read it, but that way so it's not so small. Okay, so that should be, okay, that's big enough. Okay, so the Daily Mail says Wikipedia. Woo! The Daily Mail is a British daily middle market newspaper published in London in a tabloid format. Founded in 1896, it is the United Kingdom's highest circulated daily newspaper. Its sister paper, The Mail on Sunday, was launched in 1982, while Scottish and Irish editions of the daily paper were launched in 1947 and 2006, respectively. Content from the paper appears on the Mail online website, although the website is managed separately and has its own editor. Okay, we don't need to hear about all the... And as you can see to the right, it says format tabloid. Want to point that out again? I just want to get mostly to reputable. I can't even talk. If it's reputable or not. I was gonna say reputability, but I don't even know if that's a word. Just make up words as I go. Okay, so the Daily Mail has been noted for its unreliability and widely criticized for its printing of sensationalist and inaccurate scare stories of science and medical research, and for instances of plagiarism and copyright infringement. The Daily Mail has won a number of awards, which is odd, including receiving the National Newspaper of the Year award from the Press Awards 8 times since 1995, winning again in 2019. Okay, that's kind of weird to put that in the same paragraph there. Unreliable, but it won awards. Okay. Moving on. Hey, Susan. Okay, reliability. The Daily Mail's medical and science journalism has been criticized by some doctors and scientists, accusing it of using minor studies to generate scare stories or being misleading. In 2011, the Daily Mail published an article titled "Just One Cannabis Joint Can Cause Psychiatric Episodes Similar to Schizophrenia, as well as Damaging Memory." Dr. Matt Jones, the lead author of the study that is cited in the article, was quoted by Cannabis Law Reform as saying, "The study does not say that one spliff will bring on schizophrenia." In 2013, the Met Office criticized an article about climate change in the Daily Mail by James Delingpole for containing a series of factual inaccuracies. The Daily Mail, in response, published a letter from the Met Office chairman on its letters page, as well as offering to append the letter to Delingpole's article. In February 2017, the Daily Mail became the first source to be depreciated as an unreliable source for use as a reference on English Wikipedia. Its use as a reference is now generally prohibited, especially when other more reliable sources exist. Support for the ban centered on the Daily Mail's reputation for poor fact-checking, sensationalism, and flat-out fabrication. Through the Daily Mail strongly contested this decision by the community, Wikipedia's co-founder Jimmy Wales backed the community's choice, stating, "I think what the Daily Mail has done brilliantly in this ad-funded world is they've mastered the art of clickbait, they've mastered the art of hyped-up headlines, they've also mastered the art of, oops, wait, they've also mastered the art of, I'm sad to say, of running stories that simply aren't true. And that's why Wikipedia decided not to accept them as a source anymore. It's very problematic. They get very upset when we say this, but it's just fact." An editorial in the Times commenting on the ban stated that newspapers make errors and have the responsibility to correct them. Wikipedia editors' fastidiousness, I don't know, all these big words. We're gonna have to bust out the dictionary when I do these live streams. However, appears to reflect less a concern for accuracy than dislike of the Daily Mail's opinions. So, I mean, it looks like it goes on, but the point is this is not a reputable news source. So the fact that I'm watching, all these live streams or these videos coming out saying that this inmate that was, housed at Dodge Correctional for a period of time talked to Chris or was a whatever cellmate with Chris. I don't know the whole story, but is now just released from Dodge Correctional, and now he's going out and giving interviews with the Daily Mail. And now, just because you're like an inmate, it doesn't mean you can't change, or a criminal, it doesn't mean you can't change. I'm not saying that, because he's because he went to prison or whatever, he was for whatever, means that he's lying. But I'm saying we need to, stop and think for a second and before just going, oh my God, like this guy was in prison with Chris. Like, you got to look at all the factors here and look at everything surrounding it. Like, what are the odds that this, obviously he was in prison, and we'll get to that because, I looked him up. But he gets out of prison and then all of a sudden does this interview with this non-reputable news source that's, Wikipedia claims as straight up tabloid. And all these other watch channels are not only talking about this as it could possibly be factual, and it could very well be factual, right? I'm not saying that it's not possible, but again, look at where the information's coming from, right? So he does this interview making all these claims, and not only that, but now he's going on this other bigger channel and doing an interview. And there's over, 1,600 people or whatever, or at least over 1,000 people in that chat today, taking this all in as if it were 100% factual information. Like, why? And even if it were, let's say even if Chris is in prison and they really were, cellmates, and this really happened, how does that get us closer to knowing what happened with this case? How does that get us any closer to the truth and to the corruption of this case? By hearing that Kessinger may or may not have wrote Chris in prison from, with a different alias or something. It doesn't. It doesn't. And that's why, again, you won't see me covering this stuff. I'm only covering it not because of the gossip or for views, but because this is the kind of stuff that causes so much damage, and especially to someone like myself or to anybody else who is actually really truly trying to get to the bottom of this case or to expose the truth in this case, it does nothing as far as that goes. You know what I mean? Hey, Ginger. Hey, Crystal. Hey, Dixie. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Hi, Vincina. And also, you back to this whole thing about how Cato says that Chris said that this and that, and Chris told her this. It's all hearsay. In the end, it's all hearsay. So why do people just like 100% believe it? I will never understand that. I will never understand why people will just believe whatever they're told without ever once trying to vet the information. Obviously, everything cannot be vetted, but at least try, at least try. And literally, I mean, like, I know it's cheesy, but think for yourself and don't just believe everything you hear. And again, it just does so much more damage to this case, and not only to this case, but any false disinformation that people just believe as factual. So again, even if if they did have some sort of confrontation, or not confrontation, but like, they did speak at Dodge Correctional, if Chris, hypothetically, let's say he is really in prison, right? As we've been told, the information is still coming from Chris, who is a pathological liar. And then you have another person who is a convicted felon. Again, I'm not saying that they're all bad people, but let's look at, again, everything surrounding it. He's in this same prison that Chris is supposedly in, right? Gets out, immediately goes, not immediately, I guess he got out February 27th, he was released. Does this interview with a non-reputable news source, and even if it was with Fox or any of those, I would still wouldn't believe it, just because they simply told me. You know what I mean? So, but why would anybody believe these two individuals, again, without vetting any of the information? It boggles my mind. Or because a specific channel creator that they enjoy watching, or that they believe is 100% truthful all the time, they just believe it just because this channel creator told them, or because somebody else that was in the chat said, hey, I was in this live chat today and this is what this said, and they go, oh my god, no, really? That's crazy. And then it just spreads like wildfire. It's so dangerous. And when did this turn into, again, like a reality show or a soap opera? Like, I just don't get it. And I know I see this all the time, but I am still new to true crime because, again, this is my first case. But I don't know if this is how it always is. Is this the whole drama and the, like, oh my gosh, like Lori Vallow, she stole some one of the inmates' makeups, and then they got into a cat fight, and Lori lost her eyeball, and the other chick lost her right toenail. But what is that? I mean, what does that have anything to do with true crime? Because to me, that sounds like an episode of Housewives of Orange County or something. I'm not understanding it. And again, like I said, it's not that people can't change, or I'm not saying that, just because someone was incarcerated, People can change. I'm not saying that whatsoever. So I just want to make that clear. But what is his motives? You know, and people don't always have to have motives, but again, you have to look at everything surrounding it. So now that we've, I think cleared up how, or it's clear that the Daily Mail is probably not a reputable news source. Hopefully you guys can all agree with me on that. And again, just like how that OK magazine with the whole boxer shorts thing, and then all the Watts creators were covering it, and Plunder and all that. I'm like, oh my God, Chris's boxer shorts. Like, who cares? Like, I mean, I guess I can't speak for everybody, but I don't care whether, and it's not because that my theory is based on him not being in prison. It's not because of that. It's because it's the whole, like, literally not thinking for yourself thing and having a brain of your own to decide whether or not this is, what they're saying is true or not. And it takes 2 seconds to search for OK magazine and see that they're literally a, like, celebrity gossip, like, forum or blog or whatever they are. They're, again, not reputable. If people want to believe stuff from a non-reputable source, then I guess that's on them. But I personally am not going to believe it, even if it was reputable. I'm still going to, try to at least vet the information myself or make an attempt, So obviously I'm not going to read this whole thing because, again, I'm not here to cover the gossip of the soap opera called The Watts Case. But it's only to prove a point. Hopefully you guys can see that. I'll try to make it bigger here. I accidentally just made StreamYard gigantic. Whoops. Okay, hopefully you guys can see that. And I'm sure you guys have seen it from the, the other channel creators, but just in case, I just wanted to read a little bit about it. Sorry, I thought it was at the top. Oh my God. So look at all this. Look at all this advertisement and all this crap. How annoying is that? It's everywhere. Exclusive. Mistress for whom Chris Watts murdered his wife and children is still in touch with him. 3 years. And see, if you'll notice, right off the bat here, let's see. Mistress for whom Chris Watts murdered his wife and children is still in touch with him 3 years after changing her name and going into hiding. Okay, so maybe they're quoting David here, but either way, it doesn't say in here allegedly. You notice that? Like, it doesn't say mistress allegedly for her, or whatever, for whom Chris Watts murdered his wife and children is still allegedly in touch with him 3 years after change. So they're, pretty much claiming this as factual. and which is why they don't have a good reputation. And all these freaking advertisements are going to drive me crazy. Okay. Chris Watts revealed his mistress, Nicole Kessinger, wrote to him inside the Dodge Correctional Institution in Wisconsin under her new name. Kessinger, 32, took on a new identity and moved from her home in Arvada, Colorado, after Watts was arrested for murdering his family. One, how would the Daily Mail know that she took on a new identity? Do they have some sort of information that we don't have? Like, what makes the Daily Mail so special? How do we know she doesn't look the same? And or, you know, just because, and that whole name change thing to you guys, like that could very well be not real at all as well. I'm not sure. Again, I didn't look into it like that extensively, but that's the feeling I got from it anyways. Fellow inmate David Carter made the revelation in an exclusive interview with dailymail.com. Exclusive interview. Does anybody know if this interview is like, I'm assuming it's not on, there's no video of it. Watts claimed that prison authorities discovered what was happening and punished him by suspending his email account, carefully monitoring all his email or all his mail. Oops, sorry, I skipped 2. He told me she said that she needed to speak to him to clear some things up, Carter said. He wouldn't tell me exactly what she had said. Carter said that Watts, 35, first told him Kessinger was writing to him in September 2020. Watts is currently serving 5 life sentences plus 48 years in prison without the possibility of parole for the murders of his pregnant wife and 2 daughters. The mistress who Chris Watts murdered his family to be with is back in touch with him 3 years after changing her identity and disappearing, the killer has claimed from jail. Again, they're not saying allegedly. They're not saying it's possible. They're not saying anything as far as that goes. They're to me, it looks like they're claiming it as factual. Or we believe, or, you know. Watts said his mistress, Nicole Kessinger, wrote to him inside the Dodge Correctional Institution in Waupun, Wisconsin, under her new name. Fellow inmate David Carter revealed in an exclusive interview with dailymail.com. Did I already read that? Okay, I did already read that. Sorry, guys. I don't know if anybody has read this or not. Doesn't really matter. I love how they use the word revelation too. That's interesting. Like Book of Revelations, Revelation and the Reckoning. Watts told pen pal Sherilyn Cadle in 2019 that he was still in love with Kessinger and believed that some of the letters he received in prison were from her writing under assumed names. Cadle went on to write a book about their correspondence called Letters from Christopher, which was also she also got in trouble for plagiarism. So take that for what it is. But, and again, people make mistakes. I'm not saying that. But after that, I definitely wouldn't believe everything that woman says. And even before the plagiarism thing, I still didn't believe everything she said. 1, because it's all hearsay. And 2, she's allegedly getting it from a pathological liar. So why people believe this stuff as factual or take it as factual is beyond me. Now Carter has backed those claims that Kessinger does write to the man whose crimes shocked the nation, or at least that Watts believes she does. Carter, who was released from Dodge on February 27th, said it was back in September last year that Watts, 35, first told him Kessinger was writing to him. And Watts claimed that prison authorities discovered what was happening and punished him by suspending his email account, carefully monitoring all his mail. Okay, already read that. He wasn't supposed to have any contact with her, but she initiated it by writing to him. Right. Wisconsin Department of Corrections spokesman John Beard said he could comment on Carter's claims. Okay, I'd be curious to know if he commented on it. Okay, and that's just talking about the narrative. So, okay, so he wrote to this David Carter guy, and he was in Brown County Jail on July 24th, 2020. When did he say that he told him back in September? September they were supposed to be, I was going to say intimate, cellmates or inmates. David, hey man, I hope this letter finds you in good health and growing in God's love, peace, and joy every day. I honestly thought you would have been at Dodge by now, but all active. Do other inmates usually write? I mean, do inmates usually write each other? No. Inmatepenpal.com or something? But all activities are delayed due to COVID-19. The institution is bringing people in, but I don't know at what rate. Visits just, sorry, I mean, I'm reading it like a robot because it's hard to read. Visits just started back up with you with video capabilities with the Zoom app. So that will be good. It literally just got up and running, and I'm sure they will expand it once the staff sees how it works and the kinks get worked out. I think the institution should keep the video visitation option even after this pandemic slows down, because this availability has already helped people see loved ones who are physically unable to get here for a visit, i.e., a grandpa or grandma in a nursing home. So obviously I can't read the rest of the letter, but I'm sure you guys have read this already, right? Hey, Elfin, good to see you. Hey, Through the Lens. I'd be interested to look up these verses that they put in here. Those are usually have some sort of hint or Easter eggs in them. Carter showed DailyMail.com a letter that Watts had sent him last July when Carter had been transferred to another prison in Wisconsin. It was full of biblical references. Chris has turned to God in a big way, he said. All right. Yeah. Carter 34 said Watts had told him that he killed Shanann because he didn't want to pay child support. He didn't want the son that she was expecting and feared his wife would take their house in Frederick, Colorado in a divorce. I don't buy any of that, though, said Carter, who was jailed for meth possession and for stealing money from his employees, the restaurant chain Arby's. I couldn't ever kill my entire family just because I didn't want a child or didn't want to pay child support. I have a lot of things going on in my life, but I've never wanted to stop and kill my entire family because I wanted certain things to go my way. So if they're all buddy, then I wonder how, Chris Watts feels about him telling all of this and doing an interview with the Daily Mail, of all people. Or not people, but companies. Okay, and this just goes with the narrative. Carter, who is now living in a halfway house in Green Bay, Wisconsin, said that Watts keeps pictures of his two daughters pinned up in the cell, but there are no pictures of Shanann. Okay, we already knew about that like a long time ago. He told me he has nightmares every night, always the same, of his two girls standing in his cell playing catch. Watts was transferred to Dodge for his own safety after originally being incarcerated for his horrific crimes in Colorado. Since October, he has been sharing a cell with another child killer, Marcus M.J. Johnson, who was sentenced to 40 years in 2015 for reckless homicide. He killed his girlfriend's 3-year-old son by dipping him in scalding hot water because he had soiled his pants. At trial, Johnson said little Hunter Weiss's death was an accident and he hadn't tested the temperature of the water. Hunter's injuries showed he had been punched in the mouth and whipped. So does anybody know exactly what facility? I mean, is there multiple, pods or whatever at Dodge Correctional? Because the problem, okay, let's see here. Okay, we don't need to read any more of this. I don't even want to go that much into it. So it's a bunch of Kessinger poop, in my opinion. Since this is public records, I'm going to show it. Oh, that wasn't the right one. Sorry, guys. Oh, did I lose the tab? All right, hold on. So, do you guys know if Weld County was ever contacted about those infamous cup files? Because I would have, again, if it were me, I personally would have called Weld County or contacted them the first day that happened and said, "Hey, what's up with these random pictures? That you guys accidentally sent me." So I'm still not sure why we're still questioning and trying to figure out where these pictures from social media, where these files came from. Like, to me, it's a simple contact of Weld County, but that's just me. Okay, sorry, I had the tab ready, I promise, but I don't know what happened to it. Again, this is all public information, YouTube, so please don't come after me with your Google, please. Okay, so here is David Carter, aka Kentucky Carter. Apparently he's ambidextrous. Interesting. Okay, so obviously we know he has a drug charge and the what was it, the money charge? The I don't remember. Okay. Financial transaction card fraudulent use, $2,500, a class A misdemeanor. So he has that, and then he has the methamphetamine charge. But then here it says on the criminal code 510.120 sexual abuse in the second degree, and he's also had to register as a sex offender. Now, does that make him a liar? Does that mean that he can't change? No. But the fact that people would just believe, someone who's been charged of like money fraud or theft is a registered sex offender and has a drug charge. Why would anybody just like believe what the man says? I don't understand it. And I don't care if it's well, I was going to say the Pope, but the Pope that's a whole nother story. I don't care if it's the sweetest person on earth that never has never lied, as far as or whatever. Obviously look at Chris Watts, right? We're supposed to believe that he murdered his entire family and he couldn't hurt a fly, right? So why would you believe people even if they seem sweet? It's again, it boggles my mind. So now his charges aren't really that all important, but it was just to make a point. So the same thing, I did the same thing with what's his name, with Chrissy, and what was the guy's name with the whole book thing, and was that the whole lubrication thing, or I always keep saying lubrication, the Vaseline thing, was that him too? I don't know. Again, I don't follow this because it's so ridiculous. And again, even if it were true, how does that get us any closer to the truth of this case? It's so much of a distraction, and it steers people in the opposite direction of the truth. And it's very, very frustrating for me. Anyways. So with both, I can't remember his name. Remind me in the chat, please. Dylan, thank you. Dylan and Chrissy, and not necessarily Chrissy, but Dylan, when I looked him up, I looked at his charges. I was like, okay, this guy's claiming this to be this and this and this to be true on this person's channel. So before I go, making any accusations or calling them a liar or anything like that, I'm going to go look this guy up, see what he's all about, see if he was even, in the same vicinity as Chris Watts, as he's claiming to, right? And just ask questions. And when I asked questions on that specific channel, I was either timed out or I was blocked. And I was harassed by Dylan or Chrissy's. It was Chrissy's, one of her relatives. I don't remember who it was, but I wasn't making any accusations. I simply said, this question, this, asking relevant questions like anybody should when someone is going up, and making themselves public, making the story public and claiming it as factual. They better be able to at least answer some questions or be willing to answer questions. There's people out there that can lie, on the spot. So even if you do ask questions, it still doesn't make it, and they, or they answer all of your questions, it doesn't make it more believable, in my opinion. Anyways, so when I'm asking these questions about Dylan, about these things that he's claiming, I'm getting attacked from Chrissy's family members saying, you don't know shit, da da da, shut up. I'm like, okay, you're right. I don't know shit, but I don't understand why I'm being treated that way for simply asking, again, relevant questions that everybody should, that was not. They were simply taking it as factual. And it's the whole, just because he's a convicted felon, it doesn't make him a liar or a bad person. No, you're right. It doesn't. It doesn't at all. But it doesn't make him truthful. So with Dylan, when I looked up his movement, right? Because there's some prisons where you'll have your permanent stay inmates, right? Like quote unquote Christopher Watts, right? Or your lifetime, from homicide or whatever, who are in there for life. But then you have the ones who are, only temporary, and they will move these inmates from facility to facility because they're like full, or they just, whatever, they don't have room for them. I'm sure there's other reasons as well, but I don't work in the prison system. But I just know that they move them around to each one for for a certain amount of time until their charge is or until their whatever is done. So that was what was going on with Dylan when I looked up, and we're not looking at Dylan's right now, obviously, but it looks very, very similar to David's. So he was in and out, in and out, in and out of Dodge Correctional. And I think the longest, I want to say, and I'm not 100% certain, but was maybe like a month or two at Dodge Correctional, and then he was moved back out, and then he was moved back in, and then back out, and then to a different facility. So when Dylan and Chrissy were claiming that Dylan and Chris wrote a book together over a period of 6 months, I believe she said, and it's been a while, but I'm almost certain she said they wrote a book within a span of 6 months. So either they were writing each other back and forth about this, which would take forever to do, trying to write a book, sending letters back and forth, or I'm assuming they would have had to been in the same facility and as well in the same pod for that period of time to write this book, right? And not only that, but they said that they communicate. Oh, that's right. They said they communicated through a hole in the wall. A hole in the wall. Like, this isn't the okay. It is the movies, because that's what this is. That's what this is. It's a movie. It's a reality TV show, drama, soap opera / tabloid story. But in real life, like, when do you ever hear, oh, we talk through the hole in the cement wall, that's how we communicated, and that's how we were able to write this book? Like, no, you didn't. And why, and correct me if I'm wrong, again, I don't work in the prison system, but do they usually house temporary inmates with long time, for life offenders, and ones who are only in there for like petty crimes, right? Maybe not petty, but definitely not homicide or murder. So it's stuff like that where they're saying these things and they're claiming them as factual, and they're not adding up. It's like they're saying that they're in there for 6 months, and they're saying that they were neighbors, right? Talking through a hole, but then the guy wasn't even in Dodge Correctional long enough. He wasn't even in there for 6 months at a time to be able to supposedly write this book in that 6-month time frame that Chrissy and Dylan are claiming to have written the book, right? And again, usually I will not cover stuff like this, because I have learned over these, over 2 years now, that trying to debunk all of these crazy, hearsay, ridiculous, again, tabloid, like just nonsense is it would take the focus away from what I'm really trying to do. And that's what it's doing right now. And that's why I'm a little pissed off. But I just feel like enough's enough. Like, how much longer is this going to go on? I mean, really. And when did this stop being about true crime and about gossip and what this alleged convicted murderer, pathological liar, has to say? Not only that, but his buddies in prison have to say. How does that get us closer to the truth, as I said earlier? So, again, this is Dylan, or not Dylan's, but David's, right? So he said that Chris told him, and now, as I said, I don't work in the prison system. It's sometimes hard to find the actual, like, specific answer that you need for the question that you have. But if that just made sense, I don't know if that made sense to you guys, but it kind of made sense to me. It's sometimes difficult to find out, those answers, because unless you're like actually in the system. And to be honest, I've again, I've been there, done that, and I don't feel like spending 3 days trying to figure out and to 100% debunk this person and these other people that are making all these claims and giving interviews for these tabloid magazines, because it's a waste of my time. Because I shouldn't have to do this. I shouldn't have to call these people out, or I shouldn't have to tell people, take everything with a grain of salt, who are claiming all of this information as factual. I shouldn't have to say that. It should be common sense. I'm sorry, but it really should. And it really seems like there's a huge lack of common sense in this world. And that's scary. So he said on 9/27, was that correct? 9/27 is when he told him, or whatever. So, okay. So 9/2/2020, David returned from mandatory release to Dodge Correctional from Brown County Jail, which is the letter, which was on the letter that Chris allegedly wrote to him. That was the address. 9/30/2020, out of facility, Dodge Correctional to supervise living facility. Or is that in? Out of facility to Dodge Correctional. Okay. So either way, 9/30/2020 to 10/1/20. How many days is that? 2? So he was only in there for 2 days, right? Or even here, 10/9/2020, and maybe I'm not reading this correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, please. But I'm still just looking at the dates either way. 10/1/2020 to 10/9/2020 is only 8 days, and he was out of the facility again, right? So, like I said, same thing with Dylan. These guys are there because they're not permanent inmates, so they're in out constantly. They're just moving them around until their time's done, right? So he's out of facility 10/9, 10/10/20, returned from facility to Dodge Correctional Institution. Out of facility on 11/06. So his stay was like a little bit longer there, but still less than a month. 11/6, and then 11/8/2020, returned from facility. 11/13/2020, out of facility. So that was only 5 days. 11/13/2020 to 11/19/2020, 6 days. 24th, 19th, 5 days again, 4 days. 11/26 to 12/04. So again, he's in and out. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know. I honestly don't think that they would keep moving these temporary inmates in with someone who's in a maximum security pod. As far as I know, that's where Chris should be, because he's supposed to be this um, family annihilator who murdered his entire family with his bare hands, right? And he's in there for life. So even with overcapacity or whatever, um, I just personally don't see them housing these not as big offenders in with lifetime permanent offenders. And I could be wrong, but that's why we're here. That's why we're talking about it. 12/5/2020, returned from facility, and on 2/27/21, discharged from sentence. Even then, that was his longest stay at Dodge. So what I would be curious to know is what, like, pod or facility exactly, because it just says Dodge Correctional Institution. Well, we don't know. We don't know what, facility or what area that, or I don't anyways, maybe you guys do, where Chris is supposedly or allegedly spending the rest of his days pretty much in. So it's hard for me to debunk that completely, because we don't know where the fuck Chris is, because he's not listed. And Dodge Correctional Institution is a big place. And was David, was he in the same facility as Chris? We don't know, because it just says Dodge Correctional Institution. It doesn't say like a specific pod number. If somebody can find that out, that'd be great. So that's all I wanted to show about that. It's just the fact that, he's in and out all the time, barely enough time to change underwear, depending on how many times a week he changes his underwear. But you know what I mean. And even if, again, it were true, like, still ask questions. Don't just believe them because they, okay, but it's proof, Megan. You're showing it yourself. You're showing that David A. Carter was an inmate at Dodge Correctional, so you just debunked yourself. Like, obviously he's in prison. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, obviously, yeah, he is in prison. Does that mean that what he's spewing out of his mouth is factual just because it shows us that he was an inmate at Dodge Correctional? Absolutely not. Not even close. That proves nothing. And just for shits and giggles, we'll look up Chris real quick. Maybe. Oh, new search. Here we go. Not even sure if you guys are still with me, but that's okay. I'm probably way too far in the chat anyways to catch up. So, okay. What's the matter for you? Hey, what's the matter for you? What's the matter? Hey, what's the matter with you? I don't know. Okay. Oh, I just almost put my name in. That'd be weird. Okay. So used to it. Megan Watts. That would be some breaking news, wouldn't it? That would be interesting for sure. Wait, did I put Christopher? Yeah, I did. Christopher Watts. So let's just even put in his how old is he now? 35? Just to be, oh wait. Yeah, we'll do 35. I don't remember his birth year. Do the math. Not birth year, not 35. Even when you put his DOC number in, he doesn't come up. So, but I'm just doing this for. No offenders found. That's interesting. Or, and it's like, how can we even vet if that MJ person is his cellmate? Because, I mean, we could look him up, I guess, but it's still not going to tell us like what pod he's in. I haven't been able to find that information anyways. And able to, in order to vet what these people are saying. So, again, I would take it with a grain of salt, in my opinion. And you guys didn't see that, did you? Because I wasn't screen sharing. Or maybe I was. I don't know. If not, I think we all know that he doesn't come up in the search as a inmate. So I was going to make a video about this like a long time ago. And I ended up not doing it. I don't remember why, but CDCR inmate locator, public inmate locator system. Okay. So they're claiming that Chris is not listed as an inmate for his protection, right? Because it was such a high profile case. Which doesn't make, it makes zero sense because all the mainstream media, CBI, Weld County, already told us a long time ago that Chris was serving his sentence in Wisconsin at Dodge Correctional. So explain to me how that's going to help protect him when they already made it very apparent that he's at Dodge Correctional. So how is, not listing him as an inmate after you already, told the world and said that you went to go see him at Dodge Correctional in Wisconsin for your stupid, in my opinion, fake interview that you did, where you led all the questions, finished all Chris's answers for him. I thought you were there to get to know Chris and why he did what he did, but apparently not. Apparently you want to talk about macaroni and cheese and what kind of milk, if he had white milk or chocolate milk, and I don't know what else, and his IQ. That's obviously not true. Anyway. Public inmate locator system. Inmate name, Scott Lee Peterson. CDCR number, V72100, age 48. Admission date, 3/17/2005. Current location, San Quentin State Prison. Parole eligible, condemned. Parole eligible date information. The inmate shown above is serving a death sentence and is therefore not eligible for parole consideration. So, why is it that we can look up and find where exactly Scott Peterson is, a guy who was, whether he claims it or not, he was convicted of killing his wife and their child that she was pregnant with. And it was a very, very high profile murder case, worldwide. Just as popular, if not, or bigger, if not bigger than the Watts case. Right? So, Scott Peterson was convicted of killing his a woman and a child. So why can we find his information on the public inmate locator system, but we can't find Chris Watts because they're protecting him, even though they already told us where he is, which, in my opinion, defeats the purpose entirely. And just to add, like, just because this information is on the website as well, or that we can find this, to me, that still proves nothing. But I do want to make a point, and I know people are going to be like, what do you mean, May? Like, what? So you just think everything's fake and you don't believe anything? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it would not be difficult to write this information out on this website if you're the powers that be and you are the ones in control and you have a lot of power. It would not be difficult to go on this website and post information about a convicted felon, right? To prove that they're in prison. Why they wouldn't do that for Chris Watts, I don't know. Because it would be really, really simple, and I might not be questioning it as much, but I'd still be, no, I take that back. I would still question it just as much. Maybe not other people, I guess. So does this like prove that that's where Scott Peterson is? No, because until I go to San Quentin, which I'm never going to do, and I see him sitting there rotting away in a cell, I probably still wouldn't believe it. I'm like, I'd believe it. And I'm like, no, I wouldn't. But it's like, and I know that sounds crazy because it's like, but so you wouldn't even believe that he was incarcerated, even if you went to the prison and you saw him sitting in the cell. It's not that. But when there's several, I mean, not necessarily like Scott Peterson. I'm just saying, if there's many inconsistencies and red flags in that narrative that has to do with that convicted felon, no, I'm not going to just believe it, right? Now, if it was a case where everything added up, there were no red flags, there were no inconsistencies, there was no discrepancies, all, the majority, maybe not all, but if the majority of our questions were answered from the ones who are supposed to be claiming to be transparent, saying, oh, like, you, the public, deserve to know what's going on, right? If they did all those things and there was like no discrepancies, then I wouldn't be questioning anything. Do you know what I mean? It's only the fact that there's so many discrepancies and inconsistencies and red flags, again, in the Watts case. So anytime there's discrepancies, I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to try to vet that information because I do think for myself, and I don't care if the government told me. I don't care if the president of the United States told me. I don't care who you are. I don't care what higher authority you have or what you think you have. Nobody has any higher authority of my brain, if that makes sense. For now, anyways. Who knows how long that will probably last, right? They'll probably try to take those from us too. That's what they're pretty much doing because so many people are not thinking for themselves and they don't think logically and they don't ask questions. And it's not that you have to like not believe everybody. I mean, it would be nice to be able to just believe people and what they say. And when they say that they are genuine and what they're saying is factual, that would be great. Because I would save a hell of a lot of time and I could be doing other things with my life. Trust me. Last thing I want to do is like try to vet all this information that comes out from the government and mainstream media and even channel creators or anybody for that matter, right? That would be great to just believe everybody. But unfortunately, especially in these days, people are fucking liars and they're shitty and they always have an agenda. There's always some sort of, nefarious agenda behind what they're doing. Unfortunately, that's the time and the days we're living in. So that's why it's so important to, again, it sounds cheesy, but that's why I named renamed my channel. This is the Think for Yourself, because nobody, not no one, but it seems more and more these days that people are just believing everything they hear. And again, I don't care where the information comes from. I'm going to ask questions, especially if things don't add up. So for, any lurkers or anybody who was going to want to comment, in after this video and say, so you're just not going to believe anybody then. Everybody's just terrible. Everybody's a bad person. And it's like, no, I'm not saying that at all. But there's certain things you can do to spot deception in people. Like if they're not willing to answer questions. And like I said earlier, even if they do, there's some people that are just really good at, answering questions or circling or, getting around it to where they don't have to answer the question. Like, to me, that's sketchy. So the more, resilient they are to answering my questions that are not attacking, they're just simple questions, right? That should be really easy to answer if they are claiming all this information to be factual. And if they don't want to answer it, or if they're hesitant, or if you get blocked or timed out for asking relevant questions, then that should be your first hint, red flag. I'm done. So I'll go in the chat now. Hey, Angelina. Hey, Janessa. I'm just reading the chat. And that's the thing too. It's like with the whole letters thing, right? So obviously Chris, or somebody that's claiming to be Chris, is writing these women, right? Or pen pals with these women or these inmates, right? But if you think about it, just because they have these letters, it proves nothing. It proves nothing, in my opinion. To me, anyways, that proves absolutely zilch. Those letters do not make up for why, again, there's so many inconsistencies in this case and nothing adds up. Start answering some of my questions, Weld County, law enforcement, DA Rourke, and then we might get somewhere. But that's never going to happen. They're never going to do that. And explain to me why there's so many there's so many holes in your narrative for this supposedly open and shut case, right? Dust it off. Oh, nothing to see here. We got our man, because I'm freaking Rourke, and that's just what I do, I don't give any transparency, and I'm just full of myself. I don't know. But And I was going to go a little bit more into this, this David character and this certain channel creator, and which I know there's probably a few of you that follow me or that are my subs that do also watch this other channel creator. And I will warn you, there may be come a time where I'm just going to have to say what's on my mind, and if that means that I lose some subscribers, and that's unfortunate, but I might be nice, and I might not might be nice. I mean, I am nice. I might be nice. I'm to the point where I'm not going to sugarcoat things any longer. And whatever I say in the future, if people don't like it, then I'm sorry, but then they're obviously just not ready for what I have to say, or for my theory, or anything for that matter, because I'm still allowed to have opinions of other people. I try not to, and you guys know that. I hardly ever bring up other channel creators, because it's not, there's no point to it. But when there's certain channel creators that are purposely steering people in the wrong direction for whatever reason, it's what they're doing. So I don't know why they're doing it, but it's what I see, and it's making what I'm doing and my time and effort even more difficult, and that's frustrating and infuriating at the same time. And just because I can see through their deception, I know that not everybody can. But again, that still doesn't mean that I'm not gonna I'm not allowed to have my say or my opinion on it, especially when it's affecting what I'm doing. So I'm just throwing that out there, because it's beyond ridiculous, and they're doing nothing positive. Well, they're not doing anything positive for this case whatsoever. And the manipulation is off the charts. That's all I'm going to say. There's my non-transparency. Speaking of non-transparency. Hey, Muffy. Hey, Ara. Oh, and don't even get me started on the person that you guys are. I'm not even going to mention the name. But you guys are mentioning them in the chat right now. Don't even get me started with that person. I thought I was free. But they reared their I don't want to say ugly head, because I never met the person, but they're back. So but it's fine. It's no problem. So I'm trying to think. I mean, there's so many things. So I've decided, because I always, I'm always watching these other live streams, and I'm always commenting, right? I always have my say, my 2 cents. And I always think that I'm going to remember something that, another channel creator brings up, or that they talk about in their live streams, and that I always have some sort of answer for. And I always think, oh, I'll remember. Well, I don't. And then I'm like, shit. So what I'm going to do is, since I'm always spending time, I'm going to write it down every single time that happens, right? So that way that I can talk about it to you guys, and I will not forget. Because there's so much, and I always have something to say or to counter counter to when I'm in these other live chats. So I know, get to the point, Megan. She takes forever to get to her point. Can we circle back to that again 3 times? No? From the top. Hi, Shan. I'm sorry that I missed your live with for Claire Bear's birthday. I'll have to wish her a happy birthday. But I already canceled once today, so I didn't want to do it again. Yeah, this is my canceled stream, Shan. Hit it, Antoine. All right, asks, what is your theory? Okay, see, that's, do you want me to start from the beginning? No. Essentially, without triggering the Google, algorithms or the Google police, the Watts case was 100% orchestrated. It was orchestrated to push multiple agendas onto us, the public. With these orchestrated events, they're usually planned years in advance. So that's why there's going to be multiple agendas and not just one to potentially gain from it. I have been following and researching other orchestrated events and tragic events that we have been led to believe as factual or that actually happened. And that's why I was able to personally spot this case for what it really was. Now, I wasn't right off the bat able to. I didn't realize that at the time that they were actually orchestrating these high-profile, tragic homicide cases. And there's several other ones that have just recently happened. Well, maybe not several, but a couple other ones that I believe are also orchestrated. Now, they're not as big as Watts. This is pretty huge as far as the attention, and not only that, but the amount of planning that went into this. And, well, I guess that's like in a nutshell, pretty much. I mean, there's so much more to it than that. I know some people say, Megan's theory, she just believes that everyone's actors and that's it. That's not the case at all. And it's really annoying when people say that because, one, I never said that they were all actors. So they're putting words in my mouth. And two, again, there's more to it than just that. So when they say that, it does make my theory look bad. So they're not helping. And I think they know that. My theory is not something that everyone is going to just believe just by listening to a synopsis of it or watching a couple of my videos. Sometimes people will never fully understand it or get what I'm saying. Sometimes it takes years for people to wake up to see the corruption with our government, with our mainstream media, that things are not always what they seem or appear to be, that people are not always who they appear to be, no matter what the narrative tells us, or how great a person the narrative wants us to believe. And things can be very, very deceiving. And a lot of the things that people say that could not be possible are very easily possible. There's just little tricks to the trade, and you just have to think outside the box in order to see these things, in order to see these characteristics, I guess. I don't know, but it doesn't happen overnight, pretty much. And again, it's hard to explain my theory fully, simply because, and I know people think that I don't know why I do this, because then it just takes me longer to get to my point, but I feel like I should, that I need to explain myself sometimes, because I'm not over exaggerating when I say I cannot 100% flat out speak about my theory on this case, because I will lose my channel. Because it's stated in the YouTube guidelines that you are not allowed, or it's not prohibited, to question the authenticity, and I'm rewording this into my own wording. You're not allowed to question the authenticity of a tragic event, even though, well, they say a well-documented tragic event. Well, well-documented or not, it doesn't explain all the holes, red flags, and inconsistencies in a case. And I've said this before, but I'm not questioning every single homicide case. I'm not questioning if murder really happens. Like, obviously it does. That's ridiculous. But again, I have those people that I unfortunately have to explain that to, who don't seem to want to listen to what I say ever. They just want to put words in my mouth. But you're not allowed to question the authenticity of a tragic, high-profile event. Again, even though it has inconsistencies and holes in its narrative. I can understand if I personally was like, I don't believe anybody, and I'm just gonna, or anything that anybody says, and like, I'm just gonna say everything is fabricated or orchestrated, even though there's no inconsistencies and everything adds up. That's not what I'm doing. I'm only questioning the ones that don't add up. And I think, maybe some people don't realize that. They think, again, they just put words in my mouth and say, oh, you just think everything's not real. No, that's ridiculous. I even question if I'm real sometimes. So it's nothing personal. I'm just kidding. I question everything. I mean, when I say I question everything, I question everything. No. But I'm trying to think of like how I can give a little bit more detail on my theory. Before I do end this, though, I want to talk about something, because I don't want to make these too long, because I know that 3 hours is like way too long. I know it's great when you're catching the live stream and you can chat to everybody and stuff like that. I know that you guys like that, and I like that. But as far as like replay goes, I know that some people just get to the point, Megan. Longest stream ever. No. I know, again, that my theory does not shine a good light on anybody involved in this case. That means Nicole Atkinson. That means Nicholas Atkinson. That means Kessinger. That means even Shanann herself. And I know that's not what a lot of people want to hear, but I'm not here to, but I'm not doing this and taking time out of my life to unfortunately worry about offending other people. My channel is for the kind of people that have an open mind, are going to think for themselves, not going to believe anything that anybody tells them, whether, again, it be the government or the mainstream media, because those are the two people that you should definitely not believe. And just because you saw it on TV, it doesn't make it real. But yeah, so my channel is for those that are not going to just believe everything they hear, and can have an open mind, even if whatever I'm saying or my theory doesn't maybe agree with theirs, who are still, willing to look at things from all possibilities, from, different perspectives. And when the problem that myself and other channel creators, because there's other, and I've mentioned this before, but there's other channel creators that cover these tragic events, but not in true crime. So you have your staged or orchestrated terrorist attacks, your false flags, all done to push agendas, your mass shootings. Probably going to trigger the algos right there, but oh well. You guys will follow me, right? You guys will find me, right? Search for me to the depths of the ocean. No. And I shouldn't have to be. That's the problem. Is that right there? What just happened? I shouldn't have to be afraid to say what I want to say. I shouldn't have to be afraid to say the word mass shooting, to say the word terrorist attack, because they're just words, number one. And number two, last time I checked, in America, we're allowed to have opinions, regardless if they question victims or if they, whatever the case, we're allowed to have opinions. As long as it's not doing harm or, physical harm to anybody, then I should be allowed to say guns, mass shootings, terrorist attacks, false flags, psyops. I should be able to say all those without having to feel like I'm walking on eggshells or worry about it if my channel's going to get taken down. That's the problem we're living in society today. That they are controlling us and controlling people like myself and those other channels from exposing the truth and trying to wake people up. Because they know that a lot of the people and a lot of channel creators, this is their income for a lot of them. So if they put in their stupid guidelines that you're not allowed to question the authenticity of a tragic event, even though it has many holes in its narrative, if you do that, we're going to take your channel down and you're going to lose your monetization, right? We're not going to monetize any of those when you mention those keywords. We're going to take your channel down. So there goes your income. So that's how they control us. Knowing that they can take, anyone's channel down. Doesn't matter who it is. Doesn't matter how many subscribers you have. You could have over 10 million. They could take your channel down for any reason. They actually really don't even have to have a reason. They could take it down. So, but again, that's how they control us. So the problem with my theory, as I was saying before I, of course, got off track, I know, takes forever. Unfortunately, my theory is not going to shine a good light on anybody in this case. Okay? And victim or not, I'm not trying to say this, I don't mean anything disrespectful by this, but from what I'm about to say is, regardless if you're a victim or not, just because you're a victim, it doesn't make you a saint. It doesn't make you a good person. Or just because the government or the narrative or the mainstream media tells us that these people that we've never even met, remember this, you guys, people might, claim to know the Watts and the Rusiks, and they might very well know them, right? They might talk to them. But the majority of them have never met them, or they've only started talking to them because of this case after the murders. Nobody knows who these people really are. The only thing we know, again, is what the mainstream media, law enforcement, the narrative, and the family members themselves have told us, right? They just because they say we're victims, it doesn't make them good people. Let's just be real, okay? Just because you're a victim, it doesn't make you a good person. It just makes you victim to something tragic, right? And just because the Rusiks say we're victims, we're being harassed, we've been sent death threats, there's no evidence to back up what they're saying, but people believe them. One, because people don't think for themselves anymore, and two, because they think because they're victims that they have to be honest people. That's not true at all. And a lot of these people that are sticking up for the Rusiks and the Watts and fighting and getting in and threatening other people that they don't even know, they're defending these two families that they don't even know, that they've never met, know nothing about, again, except for what we've been told. So again, just because you're a victim doesn't mean I'm going to believe everything you say. Yeah, is it sad if they really are victims? But it still doesn't mean you can go and do whatever you want and act like shitty people all over social media and get people to gang up and cause division. That's not a victim. That's not what victims do. That's not how they act. And to me, that's very telling. Oh, but they're victims, Megan. They're hurting. No, I don't care. That's no excuse. You don't treat people that have been victim to something at one time in their life. They don't know what they've, been through. So how dare you claim yourselves as victims and then turn around and mock people and laugh at people who have you have no idea what they've been through in their lives, and then try to claim yourselves as victims. So please don't come at me and say, Megan, you're a terrible person because these are victims, and I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Call me shitty, call me a piece of shit. I don't, whatever. It doesn't do anything for me. Okay. And so my point is, here we go. The whole thing with Nicole Atkinson, right? I have difficulty with anybody in this case, with any of the Ruseks, the Watts, Nicole Atkinson, Shanann. My theory is very difficult for people to handle because, or not to handle, well, one, to handle, but two, for me to try to talk about or discuss, because the minute I even if I try to bring up Shanann being a part of all this and knowing what was going on, or if I try to say that NA was a part of this whole orchestration and it was going on, do you know what's going to happen? Or what's has happened? How dare you, Megan? Nicole Atkinson has breast cancer. She is struggling. She's fighting for her life. And you're going to say that she could possibly have been a part of this whole thing? So now I'm the bad person. I'm the bad person because I am asking relevant questions about things that don't add up in this case. And because I know that people can be deceiving, and it doesn't, and I'm sorry, but and it's terrible. It's terrible. Cancer is horrible. Obviously, but it still doesn't, cancer doesn't give that person an out for the inconsistencies and for all the holes in this case that don't add up, especially when I know 100%, and I can say that, what's going on with this case as far as it being orchestrated. I don't know 100% everything, all the details, all the answers, but I 100% know that we have been lied to on a massive scale, more than a cover-up. Because there's nothing to cover up. It's the entire thing is the cover-up, if that makes sense. Because I know that it appears to be a cover-up because there are so many discrepancies, but again, that's done that way on purpose, and I don't want to get off track here. But unfortunately, there are inconsistencies, and other people have pointed out Nicole Atkinson's inconsistencies in the case, and they've been attacked for it as well. That's why they do that, you guys. That's why they make these events so horrific, so that when people do question the inconsistencies, then you're a terrible person and you're, a terrible human being or whatever for even questioning that these victims could have any part of the deception, right? Or how dare you, because Nicole Atkinson has cancer and she's, fighting for life. Very, very, very sad. But again, it does not, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I'm not good with words, but it doesn't make Nicole Atkinson a saint. Okay. Now, am I saying that she had hands in the murders or anything? No, because obviously that's not my theory. But I do believe that she was one of the main characters in this case. Yes. I will say that. And again, I'm not doing this to worry about hurting, other people's feelings. Cancer or no cancer, victim or no victim. I'm looking at the facts. I'm looking at what I've seen over the years with these orchestrated events and my knowledge of those. I'm not an expert by all means. But that's why they do that. That's why they make these cases so horrific again. So that when we do try to question the inconsistencies, we're bad people, or we're a conspiracy theorist, and we're crazy. And how dare you, right? It's done that way on purpose, you guys. And that's why I have such a difficult time with my theory. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. I think they're just like, oh, just spit it out, Megan. Just say what you have to say. Because trust me, if I just flat out said, what I thought about this case, I would probably be getting some pitchforks and whatever at my front door, So I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best to still. I try to steer away from that kind of stuff, like Nicole Atkinson or the Ruseks, because that's just a portion of my theory, and it's not like a big piece of the puzzle that would prove or that would make people see the truth in this case, or see what I'm, be able to see what I'm saying or the things I'm pointing out. But also because I know that if you go there, you're just asking for it, right? And I have so much, so much information that I have uncovered from this case, and I guess evidence to at least have someone question what I'm saying. Do you know what I mean? They don't have to 100% believe it. And like I said earlier, some people will never be able to see what I'm trying to show you guys. They just won't, unfortunately. But you can't deny the massive amount of, let's call them not coincidences, right? Or how convenient this happened, or why there's so many leads in the case, and why there's so many, there's just so much to it, all the predictive programming. And as far as I know, like I'm the only one that's been able to give some sort of answer for why things don't add up in this case. So you can either you can stay in your bubble and not want to hear me out or hear what I have to say because it doesn't match your theory or it doesn't match what you want. Because I feel like a lot of the time, a lot of these other channel creators, whether they truly believe what they're saying or not, I think they honestly, they just tell you guys what they want you to, what you guys want to hear. Like people want to hear that Nicole Kessinger is going to be brought to justice, or that there's an investigation going on into accomplices. There's not. Okay, there's not, and I guess I don't 100% know that, but for some other channel creators that are saying that they without a doubt 100% know that there's a side investigation going on with only hearsay or with no evidence to back it up, can be very damaging. And it only gives people false hope. But you know what it does is it keeps people interested in the case. They tell people what they want to hear. And that's not what I'm here for. I'm not here to tell you guys what you want to hear because it makes you happy, or because it brings in the views, or because it's dramatic and it's drama and it's juicy. That's not what I'm here for. And you will never, ever see that on my channel. And you still haven't. So I guess people are right when they say I take forever to get to a point. But my point is that regardless of what people think, a lot of people have no idea the difficulty that I go through and the factors that I have to deal with as far as voicing my theory about this case. There's so many factors that take place that it's difficult. So again, I shouldn't have to explain myself, but I will, um, because I do want people to hear me out. I just don't want to say, oh, whatever. If you don't like it, then kick rocks. That's not going to benefit me. You know what I mean? I want people to listen to me. I want people to hear me out and have an open mind. So if that means I have to justify myself or explain why it takes me so long to get to a point, or why I can't be so 100% transparent when somebody straight out asks me what's my theory, I will, because it's important to me. And this waking people up to this corruption, and not the cover up, but to the actual full out lies that we are being told over and over and over again, and not in just true crime, but in all different scenarios and events. They're happening all the time. And the more people, hopefully, that wake up, the more difficult it will be to pull off these orchestrations. That's my hope. And yeah, I only have, a little over 2,000 subscribers, but hey, like, just to wake up one person would be amazing. So, and hopefully, if I just woke up one person, then maybe that person will go and educate their friend or their family member on everything that I said. And then I'm hoping that will spread like wildfire. Like, I mean, if I had 16 or 1,600 people in my chat, like, that'd be amazing. I could do so much. But there's so many other channel creators that are purposely putting out disinformation and they have such a large following. It can be very discouraging, and it sucks because I watch it happen. I watch so many people just believe everything, and knowing that these other channel creators could do so much more and beneficial with the amount of subscribers that they have is disappointing. I guess I don't know what else. I don't know what other word to use, but I think you guys know what I'm getting at. Sorry, I didn't mean to get all dramatic, but and if you guys have been following me for a while, I'm sure you guys have noticed my frustration, even though I try to hide it a little bit. But again, like I said, I'm to the point where I just cannot worry about. I'm still always trying to be respectful. Even to the people involved in this case, even though I know what's really going on. But again, attacking them, it's not, or going that route is not the most damning evidence or anything like that. It's going to do is just make me look bad, and I know that, so that's why I haven't done it. But so I am still going to try and obviously be respectful, because that's just who I am. But I'm not going to sugarcoat things like I used to anymore, because again, all it's doing is wasting your time. For those of you who do have an open mind and do come to my live streams to hear what I have to say, not being transparent is not doing anything for anyone, myself or you guys. So that being said, I think I'm going to end this. And of course, I ignored the chat, but you guys know that's going to happen. Sorry. Worst live streamer ever. I'm just kidding. But and so one last thing, when I say come, like when I say come to D Live now, when I ask you guys to come to D Live, to D Live, oh my gosh, I gotta go. No, when I try to wrangle you guys over to D Lives, when I do those other live streams that I say, hey, it's gonna be a quick live stream, and then it ends up being 2 hours, and then I go to D Live, and then I'm just like super exhausted by then. When I ask you guys to come over there, it's because I can like answer your guys' questions with full transparency. And not only that, but I can I don't have to worry about walking on eggshells. Don't have to worry about what I say. I don't have to reword everything. And for the most part, I know that the majority of you guys that come over to D Live are more than likely the ones that have been following me for a while. And I know that you guys are, for the most part, going to be able to handle what I have to say over there, and that you guys aren't going to be offended and, freak out if I do say something that you guys might not want to hear. So that's why I encourage you guys to follow me on D Live, so that I can focus on you guys in the chat more and answer any questions that you might have to the best of my abilities. And I know that it's a pain in the butt to sign up for another account or platform, and I know that some other people have been having problems with it, but once you get used to it, it's really not all that bad. And I just did, I tried to get you guys to come over. Some of you guys, I know some of you guys did, but I did 2.5 hours on D Live a few nights ago, covering the Boulder shooting. And I really wanted you guys to go over there, because even though it's two different events, there's still one and the same as far as these orchestrated events and these the agendas that are being pushed by orchestrating these events. So, and again, I know that a few of you came over there, but if you guys want to see more examples, I guess, or more proof, I don't like to say proof, but that these events, these types of events, are not just happening in just the Watts case, right? They're happening all the time, big or small. And so D Live is going to be my way for now. I don't know how long it's going to last. It's my way of being able to show you guys some more, evidence, I guess, to back up what I'm saying. Do you know what I mean? Because I can't do that here on YouTube. I just can't. I can't talk freely about the Boulder shooting. I can't talk about I can't talk about Vegas freely like I can on D Live, and make comparisons like that to the Watts case or to any of the other tragic events with holes in the narrative that don't add up, that were orchestrated to push multiple agendas onto the public. And I'm doing this because we don't deserve to be lied to, period. And again, I'm doing it for the ones who want to research, who want to hear what I have to say, and don't want to live in a bubble for the rest of their lives, and want to think logical and rational and think for themselves. So on that note, there's some more stuff on some more interviews that I want to cover as far as the Boulder shooting goes. I mean, it's so, there's the symbolism and just the whole thing about it. Again, I don't want to trigger the algorithms, but I don't know if it's still up, or I would say go over and watch the replay, but they're only up for 3 days. That's the problem with D Live. And obviously I can't download it and post it to YouTube because, well, I think it might still be up if you guys are interested in going and watching the replay, but to get a better, understanding, if you don't yet, of my theory and the other events that I do and have researched over the years, then I do encourage you guys to go to D Live, even though it's a pain in the butt. I'll put my DLive link in the chat right now. And I'll also put it in the description. If you guys ever do miss it and you want to go check out the replays, again, they're only up for 3 days. And I will try to obviously do a quick live stream to let you guys know that I'm going to be streaming on DLive, just to see if I can wrangle more people. So that being said, I really appreciate everyone, and I'm sorry I ignored the chat. And I hope I didn't talk in circles too much. I know that I shouldn't worry about that kind of stuff, but I do. That's just who I am. So thank you, mods, and thank you everyone for being here and for your support. And don't forget to ask questions, for the love of whatever you love. Just ask questions, please, and think for yourselves. Okay, bye.